Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for setting aside time. I press the go live function. I'm not sure how many people will actually tune in. This is Kevin once again, and I just did a podcast on travel agents and responsible tourism practices, and I was thinking that maybe I will not wait for next week, but I will straight away continue where I left off, because I think to suddenly stop and continue a few days later would somehow break the chain effect. So sustainable practices or responsible tourism practices for travel agents. In my previous podcast, I was talking about the fact that the travelers today have changed. We are now seeing a younger group of people traveling in the world with a different mindset and perspectives towards travel. And we're also seeing travelers who have been traveling for many decades and who seem to have a different attitudes and perspectives towards how travels should be. So we are looking at a period of time in our history where traveling is looked upon somehow differently, say 50 years ago. So when the fact that the travelers themselves have changed, we are also seeing that the tour operators and the travel agents, or what we call travel intermediaries, they have also changed. We are no longer seeing the travel agents doing business like how they were doing in the 1970s and the 1980s. Those were the years where I grew up, where it was very common practice for people to go to walk into a travel agency and ask questions. Today, very, very few people do that, especially not for the generation that grew up with the internet. Today's people have information at their fingertips. Yep, you can find out lots and lots of travel information the moment you whip out your handphone. So the tour operators and the travel agencies probably discovered some years ago, probably not too many years back, that their business is changing, or the landscape of the business that they operate in was starting to change. So for tour operators and the travel agents, there is now more focus on sustainability practices. Whether you call it sustainable tourism or responsible tourism, there is now a set of what we call ethical and responsible practices that tour operators and the travel agents seem to abide and seem to base their business operations by or with. And so there is much power, and potentially there is a lot of positive impacts we can see that could come out from tours and the itineraries. We are starting to discover that there is a lot of good we can do to local destinations and people in those places where we bring our customers to. When we look at the itineraries and when we look at our tours, we are starting to see that there is so much we can do directly and indirectly that has a positive impact on host destinations, on the environment and on the heritage and the culture and the daily lives of the people whom in the places where we travel to. So there's a lot of influence and positive impacts that travel agents and tour operators can do. when you bring people to a place, it is now much more than just bringing people from one place to another. It is now much more than having people traveling to places and taking photos and buying things. There is something beyond going to places and taking photos. There is something beyond going to places and shopping. The travelers today are looking for experiences that are deeper. They are looking for more immersive experiences. They are looking for the opportunities to connect with the local culture. They're looking for the opportunity to not just see and learn something, but to understand things that they might not get from the magazines or from the newspaper. So the travelers of today have started to expect, if I may use this word, to expect that the tours and their travel experiences that they have is bringing them that kind of deep experiences. And at the same time, the travelers are also expecting that their own presence, the fact that they are there, their own presence, the presence can bring about much positive impacts and sometimes possibly bring about change to the daily lives, positive changes, to the daily lives and the quality of life of people at the local destinations. Improving the quality of life of people, of the local people, can range from exploring or understanding how the presence of tourists and having tourism can improve hygiene and sanitation at the local destinations, can influence or improve things like the living conditions of the people at the local destinations. So there is much work for some of the tour operators and the travel agents. There's potentially quite a lot of things we can do, and for some of the tour operators and the travel agents, what could happen is there is an opportunity to potentially tweak the content of your tours or your itineraries in a way to not just to reflect what the expectations or the demands of the travelers, but to also tweak or change your content and your tours to bring about some of the changes that we have just spoken about. So travel agents and tour operators, it is time that this sector does more than just stop using single-use plastics, which is something very fundamental. And we're not saying that stopping the use of single-use plastics is not important. It is important, and it will still be for a long time. But what we're trying to advocate or to stress is that it is time that companies, and in today's podcast, that in the context of the tour operators and the travel agents, it is time that companies in this sector try and see what are the things that they can do more. So I hope to bring you more content in this topic. I hope to do at least a few more podcasts on the topic of sustainable practices or responsible practices for tour operators and travel agents. This is Kevin once again, and I wish you a good week, the rest of the week, and a good weekend.